Hey listeners, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy on Chipbit Radio. I'm your host, Lex, and I am joined by my co-host.
Co-host named Dan. That's me.
It's you.
That's me. This guy.
So you're listening to Chipbit. You can find us on chipbit.net. You can either use the player embedded in the website, or you can download the playlist file and load it into iTunes and stream it that way. It requires an internet connection. Either way.
So high tech.
Listen, the internet's important. You always need an internet connection.
Anytime when you see one of those bills that's like, we're going to stop the internet, sign it so they don't.
Damn, we're not
don't sign the bill. No, don't sign the bill, because then they'll do it. Sign a petition against the bill.
You just confused all of our congressman listeners. They thought, oh, I better sign that bill.
Oh, no.
Anyway, Dan, what do we have in store for today's episode?
Oh, boy. We're going to talk about the new Call of Duty game because
Kevin Spacey.
Because Kevin Spacey's in it, and because we couldn't talk about it last week due to technical issues.
All these technical issues.
Then we're going to talk about Nintendo, a whole bunch. Several Nintendo topics to go through.
Because there were some, again, from last week we wanted to cover, and there have just been more from this week.
Yeah, Nintendo's got a lot of coverage in the news world right now.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to briefly touch on a little issue with the Oculus Rift. There was some legal stuff going on with that recently. A brief mention of Lionsgate Entertainment and something to do with them and video games. Mm-hmm. And we're going to end on a very funny Forbes article. It was Forbes, right?
Washington Post,
excuse me. Washington Post article about video games and libertarianism.
A natural fit.
Something we can all appreciate. And then we're going to end with our typical quick game review, this time by Lex.
This guy.
And then a little roundup of games that are coming out soon.
Yeah, I'll be reviewing Legend of Grimrock, so stay tuned for that.
Awesome.
But yeah, let's jump right into this Cow of Duty.
The Cow of Duty, I know it's a favorite of both of ours.
Oh yes.
And I'm going to now say that was sarcasm, just in case some people didn't get that, just because you'd be very confused.
You don't like Call of Duty? It's all about the headshots.
Don't you bring this in here? Don't you go prestige on me?
Oh.
So yeah, they announced the new Call of Duty. It's called Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Now, when did they announce this? This was the week before last, I believe? Because we were going to talk about this last week, and I feel like it was slightly old news even by then.
It was slightly old news then. I believe it was announced the day before we were going to record last week, or the day of, officially.
So it was around...
It was leaked a few days prior to that.
So this was around the 28th that it was talked about?
Yeah, end of April, early May.
Yeah. But the article we're talking about is from May 6th.
Yep, which has more details.
This is a GameSpot article.
Yes. By one Eddie... I'm not going to say his last name, I'm going to mess it up.
It's Matchuk.
Is it? No, but it's not. It's Makooch. I told you I shouldn't say it.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
I love his name.
Bravo.
His name is the best.
Good for you, Eddie. You're a doll. You're a peach. So, Call of Duty. It's set in the future. Don't hold in all your excitement there.
Yeah. No, okay, so I thought it was already in the future.
I mean, it was maybe a little bit. I don't know. I haven't played a Call of Duty game since, 2. Yeah,
this is the problem with both of us, is we don't play AAA shooters very often.
Nope.
But wasn't Modern Warfare...
Modern Warfare was, 2010.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think. So, at the time it came out, it was in the future. But this one's, really in the future.
Yeah.
This one's in 2054, I believe. What? It's going to be all this stuff about private military corporations, led by Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey's in the game. We didn't mention that yet, but he's in it. If you watch the trailer, there he is. CG-rendered Kevin Spacey.
If you've been living under a rock...
And his face looks great, but the rest of him still looks like a big floppy video game character. You brought that up after we watched the trailer. Also, there's hover bikes in it.
Hover bikes?
Which is simultaneously awesome and really funny.
Yeah, it seems like, if you've been living under a rock and you like video games, then you haven't heard about this, I guess. Yeah. But you probably know Kevin Spacey is in it. Yes. Yeah, one of the things I noticed about the
I believe
the
this
trailer,
is the first time that they've had like a big celebrity person in any of these Call of Duty games.
It shocks.
Which, in retrospect, is kind of surprising.
Well, see, I actually think I always thought the reason why they didn't before is because the money it takes to make a video game now,
especially a game like Call of Duty,
like a AAA title, is insane.
It's ridiculous.
It's like,
I mean, look at Grand Theft Auto 5, which was what, $250 million.
Yeah,
or something?
It's like more or as much as like your summer blockbuster movie.
Yeah,
and their teams are just as big, so I guess it makes sense. But then you have. So I always assumed the reason why they didn't have big name actors
because they couldn't pay them.
Yeah, because they didn't have the budget for it. But now they have Kevin Spacey, and games are only getting more expensive to make. So I'm not sure if this is like some sort of desperate grab by the studio to be like, no, really, we really want your money. This game's really good.
Well, didn't the last couple Call of Duty games not reach their projected sales or like what they were hoping to sell? I believe Black Ops 2 and Ghosts did not perform as well as they wanted them to.
That's true. I didn't hear as good things about Ghosts as I sort of
so this may be a big gambit of theirs. However, other thing we want to mention here when talking about Advanced Warfare is that apparently, since they've been putting out one of these games every year for a while now.
Yeah.
However, apparently, Advanced Warfare is the first entry in the series developed on the franchise's new 3-year production cycle. So they've taken a lot more time on this one. They've been working on this one in the background a lot.
This is, I think, what I'm most happy
about. It's due out this November, by the way, November 4th. But apparently they've been working on it for a while, and there's just been no talking about it.
Okay, I'm the most happy about the fact that they've been working on it for 3 years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I totally don't believe that at all. Because
you think that that's all?
There's no way stuff on this game wouldn't have leaked prior to now.
That's very true.
Out in November, they've already been working on it for 2 years.
That's a good point. I can't think of any time when a game has been that tight-lipped.
Because again,
game development has been that tight-lipped.
Because again, drawing the comparison to blockbuster films.
Yeah.
Maybe
how much of that maybe they spent a year of just saying like, yeah, we're going to make the next one in the future.
Maybe
without actually working, and then they can say, "Oh, 3-year production cycle, you guys."
That's what I think is
okay.
The more likely thing that happens.
They're playing with words here.
Assuming that they actually did work on this for, let's say, more than a year, and that to me is very hopeful because I feel like the yearly thing was really, the games just seem the same. This still seems the same.
But with robot suits.
But with robots?
And spider tanks.
Yeah, it seems like there are more random
I can get behind something with spider tanks, and I think they're just cool. But I'm not going to play Call of Duty, but I'll appreciate that they're there.
But you might play Destiny with its spider tanks.
Does Destiny have spider tanks?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now I'm, vaguely interested in it. I wasn't before.
No, it seems like it has more mechanics in the sense that, there's stuff in the trailer where the guy has,
there's no actual gameplay in the trailer, though.
Yeah.
But they show off all this cool, technology stuff that you'll presumably get to use.
Yeah. So let's assume...
Well, Call of Duty's basically just a big playable cutscene at this point anyway. The campaign, at least.
I guess that's...
I'm not saying the multiplayer isn't, obviously, but the campaigns more or less are. I don't know.
But, I think that... assuming that the stuff in the cutscene trailer is representative of different game mechanics, and maybe that's too much of an assumption on my part.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot more stuff they're adding with the being able to climb up walls and stuff. It seems like they're introducing elements that seem a lot like stuff that we see in Titanfall, which again makes me think that they did not spend 3 years making this.
You know what? That's a really good point. I didn't even think of this in the
context.
context.
Referencing games that just came out.
I didn't even think of this in the context of Titanfall.
Because Titanfall, when you're a guy, you're all parkoury and you need to scale buildings and stuff. And this game seems like, hey, you can do that in this game too.
Oh man, this is some stuff right here.
This is exactly what I expect from the Call of Duty franchise.
Yeah. Game details. Number 1. Top of the list for important game details, everybody. Do you want to say it or should I?
No, let's precurse this by saying again, this is GameSpot's
Yes.
The game.
Most important game details, everybody.
So there's some bias there.
Yeah. All DLC will come to Xbox first. Be Still My Beating Heart.
Okay, for one thing, you're going to mention DLC before your game is launched?
They're also mentioning it before Kevin Spacey being in the game.
Oh, no.
Like, come on, guys.
No, but I just mean that, like, you don't... DLC is like...
We've been on a 3-year dev cycle, and we couldn't give you all the content.
We couldn't. We have to give you...
We chose not to.
Or, like, see, DLC is the kind of thing that it can be great when you announce it, like, after the game's been out a few months.
Oh, yeah, DLC that's either announced after the game comes out, or goes... Even some games have done it where it hasn't even gone into development until the game's actually out. The DLC.
Yeah.
Like Dark Souls 1 had a large DLC package, the Artorias of the Abyss pack, which added a whole new bunch of areas, 4 new bosses, a bunch of new equipment and stuff, and that didn't even go into development until the game had come out.
And that makes sense to me because the game comes out, you get your initial buy base.
Yeah.
And then people...
Like, Dark Souls was a complete game.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like it.
And I'm sure Call of Duty will be a complete game.
As much as any other Call of Duty game is at this point.
But the idea to me with DLC is that the game comes out, a bunch of people buy it, they're playing it, and as soon as they start to get bored of it, you're like, look at this extra stuff to draw you back in.
Right.
So
look at this $14 map pack.
Yeah, so
$15.
To talk about DLC as when you're still making the game doesn't make any sense at all.
It's really bad.
Also, the fact that it's like, it will come out on Xbox first, so hey, PS4 people,
like,
F you.
Go fuck yourselves. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry, talking about Call of Duty gets me worked up.
It seems, and again, I think this point hugely speaks to GameStop's and a lot of the other big game news places' bias, where they're like, what's the bigger scoop? That something's going to be a system exclusive,
right,
or that the game's actually going to be good.
Or that Microsoft gave them money to say that.
Yeah. So, it's like,
I don't know.
I don't care.
There's going to be energy-based guns.
Okay, I expect that. It's 2054, sure.
There is I bet the Pitbull is the hover bike. It's called the Pitbull, everyone, based on the real-world mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle, or MRAP for short.
MRAP.
MRAP.
I'm gonna go down to the taco stand and get some MRAPs.
Took that in a different direction than I expected.
I like that there are variable grenades. We've never seen that in a game before.
No, but these ones, they're the same grenades, but they do different things. Whoa.
Will one of them stick to enemies?
We can only...
Because
we can only hope.
That sounds like such a cool mechanic, and I've never seen anyone do that before.
We can only hope that there are sticky grenades. What a novel concept.
Especially not like... This totally wasn't an idea on the original Xbox.
Oh my god. I don't want to talk about Call of Duty anymore. There you go, everyone. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is coming out. We don't care. We really don't.
Okay, it's good. It's time for us to switch topics anyway.
Okay.
So, just as well. Goodbye, Kevin Spacey. I'm sure you'll do a good job. We're done with you. Okay, so next we really wanted to talk about Nintendo. There are tons of articles
There's 3 main things we're going to hit on with Nintendo today, though.
Yeah. So I want to talk about their sales numbers for the Wii U.
So we've got some
3DS.
straight up business. We've got some PR-related troubles. And then we've got just video game stuff.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Nice little trifecta of things.
So in terms of the business stuff, we got an article from Forbes from the 7th, which is talking about their projected numbers and their losses. So it's an extremely disconcerting article to read because you have Nintendo management is talking to their investors and I guess the general populace as well, and they're saying, okay, so we're expecting the Wii U to make us, what is their $9 billion is their original projection from,
that's from some time ago.
No, that's from their projection for April was originally $9 billion.
Yes.
And I don't remember exactly when they said that.
They revised that forecast down to $5.79 billion.
Yeah.
Billion,
so they made it like significantly lower.
Yeah, that's like that's
almost
a lot.
half.
Yeah, almost half.
They almost halved it because they knew, like, okay, this isn't selling. We need to say a lower number.
And then they still didn't quite make that reduced sales
They
number.
still only ended up with 5.6 billion when the actual numbers came out.
Yes.
So this is disastrous for a number of reasons. One, because when you're a company and you're talking to your investors, and you're thinking, oh, our original projection way too high, we need to say something lower. The smart PR move, and I'm sure what they were trying to do with this, is to say something that's lower than what you're actually going to make is.
Right.
So that then when the actual sales numbers come out, you can say to the investors, well, okay, so it didn't sell that well, but look, it's over our adjusted estimate.
Right.
And then they can be like, oh, okay, well, it's over your adjusted estimate. You can put a positive spin on things.
Right.
But this is below their severely lowered estimate.
Right.
So I feel like that's what they were trying to do, and it still did worse than their lowest expectations.
And this has set them up now with, over the course of the last 3 years, they have had a net loss of $1.18 billion.
Oh man.
Over 3 years.
That's
really bad.
It's really bad. There's also news
and this is mainly sales off of because of their hardware. Because the Wii U and the 3DS are not doing what they need them to, is the main thing that's hurting them so badly. I remember that there were rumors that Nintendo would be debuting some new hardware around E3.
Oh, yeah,
we were actually going to talk about that last week,
yeah.
These rumors, but then this article has said that Nintendo has confirmed that they will not be doing that this E3 and are going to be focusing on software.
To be fair, last week when the leak happened that said they're going to talk about new hardware, Nintendo was very quick to say, no, we're not doing that.
I wasn't aware of that.
So I still think we're probably going to see some new hardware from them at E3 because the leak source came back and said, like, no, seriously. And Nintendo was like, no, seriously.
We'll find out, I guess.
And I think that we better hope they announce some new hardware because they could kind of use the distraction.
But I mean, it would be a distraction. But honestly, even if they do announce new hardware, like who's gonna buy it?
Dude, all those hardcore Nintendo fans. No,
I mean, I guess, but that's not helping them right now.
No,
I have a 3DS. I have a Wii U. I did my part, I guess. But like, I'm not gonna buy their next hardware thing if they announce it. I'd rather them put out. As a person who owns both, I would prefer that they just put out some more good Wii U games.
No, it's true.
They have a lot of good developers on their side, including in-house developers.
And they have fantastic IPs.
So many good IPs and licenses that they can work with. It's like, put out some more good games, everybody, for Christ's sakes.
I think this is, there was a...
We know that they can, is the thing. Like, obviously they can. Because the Wii U has some fantastic titles on it. And I mean, at the same time, I guess there is the problem that nobody has a Wii U. So even if they make great games, they can only hope that it sells a few more consoles.
Now, there was a video, sort of a panel discussion type video that IGN did. It came out, I believe, the 8th. And they were talking about this. And the crux of their conversation was...
Satoru Iwata?
Why hasn't he been fired?
Yeah.
Before I get to that, they made some cool points talking about your thing where the Nintendo has all these IPs to make software for them.
Yes.
But also, one of the things
the majority of them are first party, so they're not even going through any other developer. It's all them.
But they made this very weird move with the Wii U. The way they explained it, it seemed like it made a whole lot of sense as to why the Wii U doesn't sell very well. Which was, with the Wii, it was like, okay, you have this little remote.
Right.
And it hooks up to your TV. It's fairly cheap, especially compared to the consoles at the time. And anyone could come in and pick up the remote and wave it at the screen and stuff would happen.
Yeah. Wii Sports, woo!
Yeah, everybody loved Wii Sports.
Yeah.
And with the Wii U, it was like, okay, so here's this console. It's as expensive as all the other consoles that are out there in terms of this generation, which is what it's now being compared to, because like with this last holiday sale season, it's about as expensive as the other stuff, right?
You mean PS4 and Xbox One?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
No. The Wii U is still much cheaper. when the Wii U came out, it was about the same price or a little more than, like, last generation's consoles. But it's actually significantly cheaper than the Xbone.
Okay.
The Xbone and the PS4. Yes, I'm going to call it that.
All right.
No, they do still have the price advantage.
Okay.
Yes.
What was I going to say? But one of the things they were talking about is like, okay, so you have this console, and instead of just being able to pick up a remote and wave it at a screen,
you pick up another screen.
You pick up another screen and then have to interact with that, and it's like the other person can't see what you're doing on that because it's meant sort of as a controller, but kind of not.
Depends on the game you're playing.
Yeah.
Also.
But now it's like, okay, well, you've made a controller sort of set up with a system that makes it way more geared toward a single player experience than a multiplayer experience.
Right. And that's unfortunately not like the thing right now in the larger gaming market.
It's just weird that the Wii is all about being inclusive and grabbing more people into the living room, whereas the Wii U seems to be geared toward the opposite of that.
Well, the Wii U was supposed to be geared that way, though. Because the idea is you can now have 5 players, and the person with the gamepad gets to do things that the other players can't do. They have a different role in the game, and then the other 4 are all doing whatever the hell they do. But, like, it kind of backfired on them, I feel like. I don't think I know anybody who has a Wii U and 4 remotes to go with it. Like, and it's the same remote. They work the same with the Wii U. But, like, I don't think I know anybody who bothered to get all that stuff. Also, a lot of people just didn't think the Wii U was a new console. Which is a whole other fiasco that they ran into. People thought it was a handheld. People thought it was a periphery for the Wii. Peripheral, excuse me.
Yeah, and it's... actually, that's when I first heard about the Wii U's little tablet device. Yeah. That's actually what I thought.
I mean, I used to work at GameStop, and when the Wii U first showed up, people would come in daily and think that it was like a new thing for the Wii or a new handheld. I lost count of the number of people I corrected on that, like, for their own good. Like, we would have people come in and say, like, we're here to get a Wii U because our kid wants it, and then they would see the price and be like, why does this cost $300? And we'd be like, because it's a console. And they would be like, oh, I'm not paying that. I thought this was an attachment for the Wii. And we're like, no, that's not what it is at all. So, like, a lot of their buying base, these people came in to buy one for their kid.
Yeah.
A lot of their buying base didn't want to buy a new console. They were fine with the Wii. So that I think that family thing kind of backfired on them, because most of those families who just have a Wii and just swing the controller at the screen, they're content with that.
And they're not going to know how to use a tablet.
No. Well, they don't want to get a new console. They're fine with the Wii.
Yeah.
They'll buy all their shovelware and play the stupid carnival games and enjoy them. Actually, they won't enjoy them. There's no way to enjoy those games.
Unfortunately not.
They'll try.
There's another weird point that the IGN people made where they were like, listen, you need to make it easier for AAA publishers to make games for your systems. And I'm like, I don't want to see Call of Duty on the Wii. I don't.
You?
No, you don't. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Because that's not
that's
not the install base.
And it's pointless for Nintendo anyway, because they don't even have a good online infrastructure for their games. Call of Duty thrives on online multiplayer.
Yeah.
Putting it on there is pointless.
And that's actually another thing that they mentioned, which was that Nintendo really needs to get onto the
their
online
netcode. Their netcode
component.
Sucks, and they have all these, like, security measures in place on it that just make it impossible to enjoy.
Yeah.
The only game I've played on a Wii or Wii U that has ever been any good online is Monster Hunter.
Oh man, Monster
on
Hunter.
both the Wii and the Wii U. It works very well. But that's it.
But again, like, I think that was one of the big things where...
And Monster Hunter's not a game that most people like.
Well, that was one of my big disagreements with the IGN people, is I was like, no, I don't want to see AAA titles on it.
No.
I don't need online connectivity. I need fun games that I can play in my living room with my friends and my family. And, like, this idea of, like, Nintendo really working themselves into a corner, at first with the Wii, by saying, like, here's a console that's very different, and is by that sense, really difficult to program for third-party developers.
Right.
Okay, well, with the Wii U, we'll double down on that idea.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, if you made some sort of weird program or incentive to get third-party developers programming on your system, or like teaching them how to do stuff, or lending out developers to make special teams or something.
Not every developer is Platinum Games. Not every developer can take that dev kit and make the wonderful 101.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's staggering how well that game makes use of the gamepad and everything. Like, that's the best use of the gamepad I've seen. And it's only one game. Like,
yeah, just one game.
That game wouldn't work without the gamepad. And I'm like, that surprises me, frankly, that there is a game that wouldn't work without the gamepad, just that it exists.
But yeah, that's why I really wish that they would, like, make more in-house software, but with the IPs that they have.
I mean, they made Super Mario World 3D, which is very good.
Yeah.
But, like,
They need more.
They need more.
Or
And
set up some sort of system with third-party developers to get them making more stuff for your system.
Right.
It's not shovelware.
Right. Oh, God forbid.
Yeah, jeez.
Well, you know it's bad when not even people who make shovelware want to develop for the Wii U.
I understand that it's like, if you make some shovelware...
I was actually just noticing the other day how little shovelware there is on the Wii U, and that's like an even worse sign than there being a lot of it, I think.
I think so. No, but if you make shovelware, like, what's your mentality? I want to make this cheap, quick, and easy game and make a buck off it. This game
had a budget of $800.
But if this dev kit is, like, written in Japanese, I don't know how to do it. I don't know. I can't do it. So, yeah, I really wish that they could figure out some sort of way, like, set up a program in which to do
anything.
that.
Anything better is better than what they're doing now.
I would have them skew away from trying to appease the AAA developers because they don't have the hardware for that anyway.
Right.
And instead go toward the indies and try and make more opportunities for them, because again, we see how well people do on like Steam with smaller indie games.
Yeah.
So I'd rather see a system like that come to the Wii U. I think that would be more beneficial.
That's not a bad idea.
But we got to move on to more Nintendo news.
More Nintendo news. Enough about them hemorrhaging money. Also, I want to just make a brief mention. Microsoft and Sony are both losing a lot of money on their gaming wings right now, too.
Oh, and we talked about that in our last episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, honestly, Nintendo, like, while this sucks for Nintendo, they aren't really alone.
Oh, definitely
in this
not.
whole situation.
No.
Because the whole gaming industry is just, like, bleeding money right now. So, yeah, on that note, let's move on. Let's move on to Nintendo offending a lot of people.
This is a silly quick story.
Inadvertently.
Yeah.
It's a silly quick story. So there's a game coming out soon for the 3DS called Tomodachi Life. Tomodachi means friend, for those of us who don't know any Japanese.
I don't know Japanese.
You do now. Oh. Tomodachi means friend. Lex is my Tomodachi.
Don't call me that.
So, this is a 3DS game that's kind of like The Sims. It's a little, like, fun life sim game where you use your Mii. I'm just going to assume everybody knows what a Mii is at this point.
Yeah, they probably
and you can play with other people's Miis and just live their little lives. All including the ability to flirt, date, marry, and have children. How exciting.
Okay, see, before I even heard about the controversy of this, I had read that, and I was like, why?
Because
why is dating and marriage and having children involved in this?
I think that's because it's meant for the Japanese audience more than it is for the Western audience.
But they don't even have kids there anymore.
They ran out.
No, there have been there have been a bunch of articles in scientific magazines.
The decline of the Japanese birth rate. It's all oh my goodness. Whatever, they'll be around until 2100 or something at least. At least. I'll get my anime until then, and I'll be dead. Yeah. So anyway, no, I'm pretty sure that's because Japan is big into dating sims. That sort of thing.
I believe it.
So it would make sense for them to just throw something like that in here. Mm-hmm. It's weirder to the Western audience, I suppose. However, when they announced this, the information came along that same-sex relationships would not be available in Tomodachi Life. And now I don't think that this was really a conscious decision by Nintendo.
I seriously doubt it, because Nintendo they always just seem so innocent.
They're the innocents.
About anything. I think they just honestly didn't think
about
to put it in.
And also, I think that may be part of Japanese culture again too. Because I'm not saying Japanese culture is blind to homosexuality and stuff, because they're definitely not. But in the case of like mainstream video games and things like that, it's just not a thing in their culture. Because I know lately in the Western world, there's been a ton of hubbub about all these social justice, quote-unquote, issues in the video gaming world, be it feminism, like representation of homosexual people, things like that. It's been a hot-button issue lately in the gaming community. So this is an extension of that being projected onto a poor Japanese company who has no idea what the hell is going on.
They just don't understand.
This was brought up, however. I believe there was a petition that started on Facebook and Twitter and things. A social media campaign is what this article calls it. This is a CNN article, actually, by the way, from today. Today being May 9th. This became a big thing. There's a particular person named Ty Marini who is a big Nintendo fan and was the person who kind of started the whole movement against it, and said that it wouldn't be as big of a deal if it weren't for the fact that relationships and marriage are a huge part of the game. The relationships and interactions between the Mii characters in the game, coupled with their relationships to you in real life, are what makes the game so appealing. So not being able to date and marry the gender that he is attracted to in real life really takes all the immersion and fun out of it for him. Which is a valid complaint.
No, it's a totally fair point.
Completely valid complaint. And Nintendo responded by saying that unfortunately it is too late for them to change the game, as it's very close to release. And that's too big of an update to just kind of like patch on to DLC. Same homosexual relationship DLC.
Oh no.
It's coming for... But we're getting it for Tomodachi Life now and Call of Duty later. $14.99.
You're gonna care about your teammates.
You're gonna care about your teammates. You thought you cared about the dog. Oh, you don't even know yet. So, and the article states that at a time when this same-sex marriage issues and things like that are going, like, they're just all over the place, all over the United States and everything. This could have been a really big PR problem for them. However, they did say that they are going to strive to design a gameplay experience from the ground up that is more inclusive and better represents all players when they make the next installment of the series. So that's not, the perfect answer that I think a lot of people were hoping for.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good response.
No,
they acknowledged the problem in a big way,
and they're saying that we're not going to make this mistake again.
Exactly.
And that's and I think that's good. I think that this
easily could have been a huge PR disaster for them.
They don't need it,
and they really don't. So I'm glad that Nintendo handled it with such class.
Yeah, I think...
So many video game developers and companies don't. These PR issues happen and they're just like, no.
All the Twitter
No, but we didn't do that though. No, you're wrong though. Like, I've seen that coming from like professionals in the industry to their fans.
You didn't like the ending of Mass Effect 3? Well then go F yourself.
Then you can get out and buy our DLC.
DLC.
I hated the ending of Mass Effect 3, but we're not going to get into that now. But yeah, BioWare flubbed that PR hard.
They did.
That's a perfect example, though, of what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think it's just Nintendo honestly did not think of it. They should have.
They should have.
But they just.
But once again, I think it's more of a cultural thing because this is Nintendo headquarters in Japan, and they didn't. How are they supposed to know that this is such a big issue over here right now? It's a different world. It's a totally different world. Like. They really are just the innocents in this situation.
They're like children, except most of them are old because they have a declining birth rate.
Didn't mean...
But they're like children.
No, that's not true.
Actually, no, their elderly population is much higher than...
It is, but it's young people and old people. It's the middle that's missing. We're teaching you so much about Japanese culture.
It's important.
Cultural problems. So anyway, good job, Nintendo.
Good job,
you handled that like pros. Couldn't have done it better. And we'll see what happens, I guess. Okay. Here's our last Nintendo thing.
Oh, Nintendo.
Are you ready for us to talk about video games?
Finally.
Nintendo announced more Pokemon games.
Now this is an
Yay!
article. This is an article from the Escapist magazine.
Yep, also published today.
Yep.
The new games are, because they just came out with X and Y, which were entirely new additions to the mainline series. Did a whole lot of technical upgrades to the game, graphics-wise, and
they put a
things like
Ninja
that.
Frog in it.
There's a Ninja Frog in it. He's going to be in Smash Brothers.
I'm
Look
happy
forward
about
to
that.
it. He's cool.
Yeah.
I actually like him a lot. He wears his tongue like a scarf. That's cool.
In one of his forms.
Well, yeah.
His ultimate form.
In his final evolution. But anyway, so the new ones, though, are more of their remakes, like they did with pretty much all the first and second gen now. Yeah. So they're making remakes of Ruby and Sapphire, which are the third generation Pokemon games, the only ones that I didn't play.
Now these will be called Omega
Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Those are the names.
Okay, those names are really silly, but
it's Pokemon. Who cares?
Okay, fine.
So there's not a whole lot of news about it. They're going to be full remakes, so they're not spin-offs or sequels. And Nintendo has said that they are going to be a fresh take on Ruby and Sapphire.
But didn't they just say they were remakes?
Yes.
Is there DLC
However,
that makes them better?
Yes. Homosexuality DLC for your Pokemon.
Your Pokemon is going to love that.
I mean, I'm upset that male Pokemon cannot mate with other male Pokemon in the daycare center. I mean, Nintendo or Pokemon World clearly has a lot of high-tech stuff going on, so it's ridiculous to think that they can't find a surrogate Pokemon mother to carry their egg until it's ready to be picked up by their trainer. My phone just fell into the trash.
So you wanted to get away from this
terrible conversation that's beginning.
Okay, so when was the last time they remade Red and Blue?
Red and Blue?
Well,
that was a while ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was on the Game Boy Advance.
When was the last time they remade Ruby and Sapphire?
They didn't.
Okay.
This is the first time.
Okay.
They haven't remade any of the games multiple times.
Good.
Not yet.
Because I was worried that that's what this was for a second.
No. No, they've done remakes. They did Fire Red and Leaf Green as remakes of Gen 1, and then Soul Silver and Heart Gold as remakes of Gen 2.
Okay.
So this is now a remake of Gen 3.
Okay.
Ideally, I'm assuming that it's going to include the technical upgrades that Generation 6 had. So full 3D graphics, even for the battles and everything, a 3D world. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Makes me wish it wasn't Gen 3. But I'm biased, I never played it. Anyway. So yeah, that's neat, and I guess we'll have to keep an eye on it. I don't really know what else there is to say about it.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I wonder if this means we're going to get some Generation 4 and 5 remakes.
Yeah, obviously.
Sometime soon.
Sometime. Wait for them to come out with another handheld device.
So that's it. That's Nintendo. Good job all around, guys. Except for the wholesales thing.
There's so much stuff.
There's more Nintendo stuff we could be talking about.
Yeah, because we had more topics than this even for last week.
Oh, well, yeah. Speaking of, quick aside, so Nintendo's not doing E3 again. Like last year, they're doing their own private direct thing.
Yeah.
And games journalists are super butthurt about it, which is hilarious.
It's hilarious, but I don't think. Okay, so I think that them being butthurt about it because I know where they're coming from.
Oh yeah.
Is them being idiots.
Yeah. But
at the same time. I still think this is a bad move from Nintendo.
Yeah?
Because, it goes back toward my earlier point about comparing the Wii to the Wii U, where the Wii U becomes less all-inclusive.
Okay, gotcha.
When Nintendo does their online streams...
And they're cutting themselves off from the rest of the gaming industry in a way?
Sort of. Because... if you're a hardcore Nintendo fan, you're going to watch that stream.
Yes.
But if you're a video game fan, you're probably watching the E3 stuff. Or at least I know I am. Maybe I'm biased.
I know a lot of people who don't even know that Nintendo does directs.
Yeah.
Who like Nintendo games.
Yeah, that's my point. Those people are going to be watching E3.
Hell, I seldom watch Nintendo directs. But that's mostly because I don't know when they're happening.
And I mean, at least we'll know when this one is happening because it happens during E3.
Yes.
But when they keep doing their live streams at E3, it's like them being like, okay, people who are going to pay attention to all our announcements anyway, here are our announcements. People that may not have seen them are just not going to see them.
That's a really good point.
Whereas if we were at E3, everyone would see them, and it's much better advertising.
Very true.
Which is really what E3 should be for. It shouldn't just be for the press to
Well, it used to be.
Press to beat their meat all over the place, which one it seems to be.
Yeah, now it's just a big a big whack-off party for the press and games and stockholders.
But what it should be is like the people who
is, hey guys, look at video games.
Yeah, it at the
which
very
is what PAX
least,
is now, basically.
PAX, yes. I mean, in terms of going and like playing stuff, obviously that's a lost cause in terms of E3. But at least it could be like, hey, people are into video games. Here's a bunch of press releases and stuff about new things we're doing, and it's all in one weekend, so you can just watch this. And you get it all.
Right.
But the fact that now Nintendo's like, no, we're going to be on a different platform at the same time, which means if you weren't already going to watch, you're probably not because you're watching the other E3 coverage. I think in that way, they're only hurting themselves because they're just playing to the people who are going to watch them anyway.
That is true. Can't deny it.
Side note, this is totally a point that Adam Sessler has made. He made it last year, and I'm just like, that is such a devastatingly good point.
Oh, wow.
That I had to back him up.
Way to steal Adam Sessler's ideas.
I always, every opportunity.
Just pull the words right out of his mouth. So that's enough about Nintendo. I wanted to briefly bring up, even though this is a little old at this point, this is an article from May 1st.
Oh man, that's like a week old then.
I know.
How could you?
I know. In the age of the internet,
it's like 100 years.
That's like 100 years. Everybody who cared about this last week is dead. Now. So yeah, Oculus Rift. Kind of a big deal. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. It's a VR headset for video games. Everyone says it's awesome. I haven't gotten to try it. I don't really care that much about it, but I guess I would try it if given the opportunity.
If we had only been at PAX East.
If only. I could have done whatever this is in the video. Run around in a desert? I don't know. So ZeniMax Media claimed in a lawsuit that John Carmack, when he left them, John Carmack, important guy, Doom, all that stuff, you know him.
Stuff, yeah.
Very smart dude. Left ZeniMax and went to Oculus to develop their VR code and stuff. ZeniMax claims that he stole tech to make the Oculus Rift, basically.
Yeah.
Be it code or stuff that technically belonged to ZeniMax.
And to clear this up, ZeniMax is a bigger company that owns subsidiaries, and one of their subsidiaries is id Software.
Right, which is where Carmack left.
Carmack
from.
worked.
Yeah.
So even though he didn't directly work for ZeniMax, he did work for ZeniMax.
Yeah, it's one of those businessy business things.
Yeah.
Now, there has been an update to this article since it was written. I believe this was a very quick update, actually, because it was there last week when I looked at this as well. That John Carmack denies having taken tech from ZeniMax to Oculus, and then is quoted as saying, Oculus uses 0 lines of code that I wrote while under contract to ZeniMax. No work I have ever done has been patented. ZeniMax owns the code that I wrote, but they do not own VR. So on Carmack's own words, ZeniMax may own code that he wrote underneath them, but that does not stop him from writing new VR code under Oculus and just using it.
Now the way
and he's a really smart guy, too. So it's like, this
stuff
is obviously, this is just in his head. He's just a coder guy. So it's like, can you really say he stole it when he's the one who he just remade it, basically?
There's a weird way that I interpreted this quote when I first read it.
Okay.
That made it sound very strange. So when he says VR, he means virtual reality.
Yes.
Because I'm not confused about that.
I don't think so.
Okay, so that's like saying, hey man, you can't own the wind. Right? Right? Like, you can't, like...
You're making Carmack into, like, some hippie now?
Yeah, but it's like, they don't
some
own...
Some tech hippie?
It's like he's saying they don't own the concept of virtual reality.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, because no one does.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they don't own code that you
programmed
while you work
But
for
now,
them.
here's the thing, is if he writes different code at Oculus that does essentially the same thing... Does that break his contract or whatever stupid thing they're trying to call him out on?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm worried that there could be a lawsuit pending over this. Because, okay, so this isn't... I know what my other initial thought on this story.
Like, I don't think this has gone anywhere big yet.
Not yet. But the reason why it's breaking...
Yes.
Is because it may.
It definitely might.
One of the first things I heard about this story, when I heard this story is... Oculus has been being talked about for a while, and they're just bringing this up now.
That's why I feel like it's ZeniMax just grabbing at straws.
Actually, I read into that a little more.
Okay.
It turns out they have been in private talks with Oculus.
I see.
Since Oculus started.
Oh.
And because that ZeniMax was like, listen, we're not going to negotiate anymore. Give us this money. And Oculus was like, no. ZeniMax was like, we're going to the press.
Okay.
And then they did.
So this is a lot bigger than I thought.
Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking, like, ZeniMax is really pissed. Because that's why they brought this story forward.
Right. Because I was under the impression that they were just now popping up and being like, oh, we want a piece of the pie.
Yeah, that's...
But apparently not.
Yeah, so I'm... that it worries me a lot, because it seems like if Oculus continues to be awesome, which it's going to continue to be awesome.
Let's hope Facebook doesn't ruin it.
Assuming Facebook doesn't ruin it. Yeah, that was the other thing I thought when I first read it. Oh, they're coming out because Facebook just spent a bunch of money on it, so they know there's money to be had.
There's no money to be had.
But no, there's... They probably wanted a chunk of those Facebook earnings.
I'm really broken up about.
And that was part of the negotiations that they were doing, and when they didn't get any, they were real butthurt.
I'm really broken up about that whole Facebook thing.
We all are.
It means that it probably means that the one thing everyone really hoped for won't be on Oculus Rift. Japanese porn games.
That's all I wanted.
I didn't care about anything else.
Dan, don't worry, we still have Google Glass.
Thank goodness I can wear weird glasses and play my Japanese porn games in public where everyone can see them.
Yes. Yes, the dream.
The dream!
So yeah, I'm really worried that if Oculus continues to like let's say the first games come out for Oculus and Oculus actually goes up on the market and it sells like gangbusters, we will see a lawsuit from ZeniMax.
Yup.
And it will be a big, bitter legal battle, and like you don't want that.
Knockdown, drag out fight.
Yeah, when you're a new company launching your flagship product,
that can kill you.
Don't want that.
That'll kill you.
So this is something
we can't really
to
talk
watch
about
out
this
for.
much longer, but we're running out of time.
It's true. No, so I think that's something to watch out for in the future.
ZeniMax suing Oculus Rift. Keep an eye on it, folks. This one's quick. Lionsgate. Lionsgate makes movies and other media stuff.
They made the Kick-Ass films.
Do you want to try saying the actual name of the movie?
No.
Okay. So, Lionsgate has decided to enter gaming. Their chief executive officer is quoted as saying, this is an article from a week ago. That's all it says, 1 week ago.
GameSkinny.com.
GameSkinny, this is just where I found it first. I found it all over the place.
Yeah.
This is where I found it first for our thing tonight. Gaming has become one of the most explosive growth areas of the content business, and Peter's the guy from Nerdist Industries who they brought in for new video game stuff.
Okay.
And Peter's mandate will be to build a portfolio of premium digital properties as we expand our leadership in films and television programming into digital content as well. So, what this sounds like to me is that Lionsgate is going to A, start making video games, and B, possibly start making more movies based on video game properties.
See, what I got from this was that was slightly different.
Okay.
What I thought was they were like, okay, we want to make more games that tie into our movies.
Right.
So if we have this pipeline, we can just make them way easier. Now, this would be an interesting plan if movie tie-in games ever sold or were good.
Right.
But they're not.
Which is what I was going to bring up.
So that would be a terrible idea if that's why they're doing this.
Right. I mean, this article actually brings up a few things that they like Lionsgate properties that could become games. Some of which are silly and some of which are already games. At least there's already a Saw game. There's 2 of them, in fact. But hey, the Expendables.
Actually,
that would make a great video game.
That's like what Just Cause already is.
Kind of.
Except if it Just Cause with more characters. Dude, if you had couch co-op,
yeah,
that would be
play as
sweet.
all the different Expendables.
Oh
man,
I want to be Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren?
I can't pronounce his name.
This is Dolph. It's really easy.
I can't pronounce it.
You could, yeah.
Don't
I want to be Jean-Claude Van Damme. I mean, he's a bad guy, but I would assume that they'd let you play as him.
You'd run out of bullets.
I don't need to. Roundhouse kicks.
It's just roundhouse kicks.
Roundhouse kicks. Though, but they also list on here. Wait, they seriously list Bangkok Dangerous? Isn't that awful Nicolas Cage movie? Oh God, and Dread though.
Dread.
I'd play a Dread game.
I mean, there's already been Dread games, haven't
But
there?
like from the new thing.
From the new thing, yes.
I would totally
That'd
play
be
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
Especially
Cabin
if they
in
could,
the Woods.
Dude, if they could get the actor.
I want to
do
play an
the voice
American
acting,
Psycho game.
That would be awesome.
Now that could be a real thing.
Dude, the Japanese should make that game.
They really should.
They could
I
make
want
the
an
heck
American
out of that
Psycho
game.
character action game like Bayonetta.
So weird.
But you just play Huey Lewis in the news and go around axing people.
Listen to Phil Collins.
But they got Hunger Games. Wait, Dogma? They seriously put Dogma on this list?
I don't get it.
That Dogma would be a terrible video game.
It would.
That'd be awful.
It'd be really bad.
That's a terrible idea.
Actually, if Telltale Games made it,
They do mention in this article that they like to see Telltale and Lionsgate team up
that would be
for some of the
cool.
more story-driven things.
Um,
Would be neat. And Telltale's huge right now.
They're huge.
So, they're huge.
But like Crank.
They can
and
take a crap,
Transporter-
wrap it in tinfoil, put a couple of fish hooks on it, and sell it to the Queen of England as jewelry.
That's true.
Zoolander, everyone.
No, but I like how Crank and Transporter are both on this, and I'm pretty sure the Hitman series is already both of those.
More or less.
Um,
Why was Jason Statham not cast in the Hitman movie?
I don't know. Because the world isn't fair.
Seriously, what the hell?
But yeah, so this could be really stupid,
But it might be neat.
but it might be neat.
Maybe Lionsgate will somehow make decent licensed games. I doubt it,
I know.
but it's a new thing at least. So maybe.
We'll keep our eyes on this.
I'm going to
See
be
what happens.
cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
But as soon as the first terrible game movie or movie game comes out from them, I'm done. I'm done with this.
Okay, so we were going to talk about video games and libertarians and natural
But we don't think
fit.
we really have time.
We don't have time.
And we don't really care that much.
No, I'm saving it for next time.
Oh, are we going to come to this next time?
Listen, this is also the kind of thing that you can go into whenever because it's not like about
That's true.
some sort of new
Okay,
release
we'll
or
save
something.
we'll save this big silly article for next time.
This Washington Post article is real silly.
All right, look forward to that, everybody.
Next episode. But right now I'm going to do a quick game review.
Yep. Take it away, man. This is all you now.
Okay. So, for our game review of the week, it is my turn this week, and I am talking about a game called The Legend of Grimrock. Legend of Grimrock is a game that's on Steam. It's a cheap game. It's an indie game. I believe the studio that made it, which is Almost Human, which is a Finnish studio, is Finnish.
Those Finnish, they make good games.
It's like a 4-person team. It's a really, really small studio.
Wow.
And considering that, the graphics are very pretty. They're like Skyrim. pretty.
I've seen screenshots actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look really nice.
And now this is a game, I can't remember exactly when it came out. I feel like... See, I was really prepared for
I think
this
it's a
last
year or
week
two
where I had
ago.
actually looked up all these facts and I've forgotten all
I
of
think
them.
it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm pretty
It's
sure
a bit
it
old
was.
at this
I'm pretty
point.
sure it was late 2012.
Like 2 years is old.
Um,
It's not really that old. Jesus.
But so I had gotten this on Steam shortly after it came out, and I had not gotten around to playing it until a few weeks ago, as is with like a lot of the stuff that I buy. It's so easy.
That's something that all of our listeners can relate to.
No, it's true. But this is a game that is an RPG that's made to be like RPGs from what is considered the golden age of Western RPGs, which was the early to mid 90s.
Yep.
A lot of like Super Nintendo stuff, like Dungeon Master. Oh man, Dungeon Master, and the Eye of the Beholder series, which are games that function like they're like super early 3D. They look kind of like Doom, but they don't really play like Doom. So you have your
they're much slower.
Yeah, you have your first-person perspective, and the idea is that you have your party of guys. You don't see your characters; you just sort of see from wherever they are, and you're in the dungeon, which is effectively a maze, right? And you walk around that maze like a tile at a time.
Yeah, it's like step-by-step
Yeah.
movement.
And monsters will jump out at you, and then you like click the little sword icon on your fighter to swing your sword and hit them for damage. And it's just like, every 10 seconds they will attack you, and you have like a cooldown time to attack. and that's how that works. And the games were never really about the combat. I mean, for the time, the combat was like pretty BA. Obviously, for now, it is less so. But they were really about going through these dungeons, finding like different secret levers or keys or what have you, and then disabling the big trap or unlocking the big door that gets you to the next level.
More about exploration
and puzzle solving.
Yes. Than about combat.
That was like the really big thing of these games. Plus, I mean, I guess for the time also the graphics were like really top notch for the time, the 16-bit era. So those games were awesome, and I love them, and I have a very soft spot in my heart for them. And I've gone back and played them. One of the things that makes them very difficult about today, to play today, is that they don't have mini-maps. So you need to remember all of those hallways that all look exactly the same.
No.
It's like impossible to beat Eye of the Beholder without going and looking online for some like reference maps. But yeah, so Legend of Grimrock is pretty much a remake of those games. Except for it looks like Skyrim. But
looks modern.
Yeah, but the way it plays is exactly the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was more like, I guess, active? I don't know if that's the right word.
Down to the detail. It's exactly the same, except you get a mini-map.
Nice.
Although there is a classic mode where it turns off the mini-map.
Fantastic.
So if you want to be super hardcore, you can play that. I didn't play that mode. Yeah, so a lot of it is really about solving puzzles. So you get down into this dungeon and you're like, oh man, like here there's a pit and I can't, and obviously like if I walk onto it then I fall down and then I take a bunch of damage and I have to wander back up to where I started.
Right.
But like on the far wall there's like a button. So, and then I look down and I see there's a rock next to me. So I have one of my guys pick up a rock, I throw it at the button that's across the pit, hit the button, and then the pit closes, and I can walk across.
There you go.
So it's like a lot of kind of traps like that, and as the game progresses, they get steadily more difficult, more involved. Just the puzzles become difficult. And it really does a good job of scaling itself. Like the first level, it was a lot of traps like the one I just described, which were super obvious.
Right.
But then later at levels, they progressively get more difficult, and there are like multiple levers and teleportation things and all this crazy stuff. And then when you start to get into the middle of the game, now monsters they're throwing at you the whole time. Most of the time, like in the first couple levels, they're just sort of cannon fodder that you want to kill off to get some experience.
All right. They become real credible threats later on, though.
Yeah, and later on they actually sort of become part of the puzzle. So I think when you get to like level 5, I believe, you fight your first like cave troll monster.
Okay.
Who when you're the level that you are when you get there. Which is pretty much predetermined because monsters are the only things that give you experience, and there are a set number of monsters. So, like, the game developers know when you get to level 5 of the dungeon, you are level whatever.
Right.
Your party. When you fight that guy, you get down into that part of the dungeon, you see him in the room, and he's just stalking around this dark room around the perimeter of it. You can walk around and sneak past him and not fight him.
Oh.
And get to other parts of the dungeon where you can, like, get to other traps and unlock stuff. And I believe you don't actually need to fight him to progress to the next level. Or you can try and fight him, and he will kill you almost immediately. So it's more like one of those things where you need to... In my sense of it, he became part of the puzzle because it's like, here's this thing that will kill you. You need to avoid it as you're going through this level of the dungeon.
So... on the whole, how would you say Legend of Grimrock sizes up?
Okay, 10 out of 10, pretty good.
10 out of 10, pretty good. Our standard score for all games.
This is a game that gets crazy hard.
Okay.
And like the puzzles get super difficult. I think it's like a 12 or 16, I don't remember exactly, level game.
Okay.
And
it gets absolutely
brutal. Once you get to the midpoint, you will be dying very often.
Okay.
And you'll be having to do a lot of trial and error to get past those puzzles. But
maybe frustrating for some.
Yeah.
It depends on your tolerance for that kind of thing.
This game is definitely not for everyone. I went into it knowing the genre and being like, I want to
Right, I know you always loved Eye of the Beholder and those style of games, so this sounds like the perfect thing for you.
Yeah.
Like, even I'm not that big a fan of that style.
It's definitely a very niche genre.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that this is an indie game.
Yes.
But yeah, if you're into that genre, you are doing yourself a disservice to not check this game out, because it's not only such a faithful sort of remake kind of thing, but it's like the puzzles are so well thought out.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, if you're into that genre, definitely pick it up. If not, maybe not. If you're into RPGs and you're into older school RPGs,
you could give it a try. Yeah.
It's still an indie game. It's not very much money on Steam, so it's definitely worth checking out if you're into that genre.
Cool. So yeah, if you're a big masochistic nerd like Lex,
yeah,
go for it.
Just love having your whole party die because you got headbutted by a troll.
And we're going to end off today on our usual thing. What games are coming out?
Whoa!
What games are coming out this week? Borderlands 2 on the Vita. So what? Dynasty Warriors 8. Boy, I can't get enough of that crappy game.
That game certainly isn't just a remake of all the other Dynasty
I'm sorry,
Warriors.
I should say the full name of the game. Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends Complete Edition.
Oh god, there was an X instead of an EX?
There is an X instead of an EX.
Shoot
Super
me.
Time Force, May 14th.
Dude,
that's soon.
This is something I'm excited
That's
about.
something cool. Minecraft for the PS3 Retail Edition. Because you don't have Minecraft already, clearly.
Okay.
Great. And then, what was the one? Oh yeah, something else came out today called Bound by Flame. It's like a third-person action RPG.
It looked interesting.
Looks kind of neat, actually.
I went to the website and I was like, wow, this looks like a AAA title. It's weird that I haven't heard anything
That's
about
how
it.
I felt when I was looking at this list earlier today. And I watched some videos and I'm like, this game looks kind of cool.
It does look cool.
So yeah, if you're looking for a little like thing, like third-person action RPG to tide you over while you wait for something else, maybe you'll be surprised.
Maybe.
We'll see what happens. Came out today. Go check it out.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah,
Not a whole lot right this upcoming week, so.
We hope you guys enjoyed listening.
As
I'm
always.
Lex,
I am Dan.
and this has been
Don't copy that floppy.
On Chipbit Radio.
If we had our soundboard, we'd do the Ninja Turtles Pizza Time thing,
Time.
but we don't.
We don't. Not right now.
Night, everybody.
Good night.